Okay, I'm going to demo to you how to configure HSRP. Okay, in this example, I'm going to show you configuration of PCA and PCB. In this diagram, you should see PCA and PCB. PCA connected to switch 1 and switch 1 have a trunking to switch 3. So PCA should be able to reach web server either through R1 or R3. Doesn't matter. Okay, same for PCB. So let me show you both PCA and PCB. Okay, on PCA, the configuration IP address is 192.168.1.101 and their default gateway is 192.168.1.1, which is a router 1. Okay, on PCB, the IP address is 192.168.1.103 and their default gateway is 192.168.1.3. So, PCA and PCB are using a different gateway. It's okay, doesn't matter. But if PCA ping default gateway of PCB 192.168.1.3, so it still can reach. Okay, for 1.1. Okay, so that means PCA can use either 192.168.1.1 or 192.168.1.3 as a default gateway, same as a PCB. So you can try after this, you can change the default gateway for both of them. So they will be able to ping this device web server 209.165.200.226. So now I'm going to ping 209.165.200.226. I hope the IP address is correct. Ping 209.165.200.226. Okay, now I get a reply. So they will be able to reach even though they are using a different default gateway. So now we are going to trace route or to trace the route in order to reach that web server. So the command to trace route in Windows is a trace RT. T-R-A-C-E-R-T. In a Linux, in a Unix, they are using trace R-O-U-T-E. Trace route. Okay, 209.165.200.226. Okay, on PCB. 209.165.200.226 on PCA. So you can see here from PCB, in order to reach web server, so it must go through 192.168.1.3, which is their gateway. PCA go to 192.168.1.1 and then go to 10.1.1.2. Same for PCB, 10.1.1.2. This is not the interface that they go through, but the router ID. Okay, later if you do advanced routing, I mean for the dynamic routing, you will know how to set or how the router pick a router ID. And then they go to the device with the router ID 10.100.10.2, same, and then reach the web server. So I'm going to close one. I'm going to close a PCB, but you should know PCB go through .1.3. So let's see, where is a 1.1? So this is a 10.192.168.1.1. Okay, and router 3 is a 192.168.1.3. And this interface actually for G0/0 on router 1 is a 10.1.1.2. But for G0/1 that connected to R3, actually their IP address actually 10.1.1.5. But in their trace route, they will use the same ID, 10.1.1.2. So the router ID actually one of their IP address, but we can change that, but not in this class. So for PC1, in order to trace route or to ping, they must go to switch 1 and router 1, R2, and then some router in here, and then go to web server. Same for PCB. PCB go through switch 3, R3, and R2, and go in here. So there is no problem in here. We have multiple gateways, so it's a good. But if we have a problem, one router going down, or we remove the link. Let's see if I remove the link in here. So for PCA, if I try to ping now, I cannot reach it. But PCB, okay, I able to ping, but not PCA, even though there is other gateway active at that time. So PCA cannot reach the internet because by default they are configured to reach 192.168.1.1. So in order to reach the internet, we must change the default gateway inside the setting of PCA. So in here, if I change it to 1.3 and then I go back again, I ping, now I can get a reply. So if something happen to router and then the client need to change their IP address, so it's quite not so easy for a user. Sometimes they might forget and they do not know what to do. So and then let's say you need to change for how many devices. In this example, we are only use 2 devices, but in the real network there might be hundreds of devices that you need to change that. So we cannot afford to change one by one. So what we can do actually, we can change their route in order to go to the other router, but without changing the IP address. So now I'm going to put back their link in here, but we are going to create a HSRP. So in order to create HSRP, the command is in here. The command actually just a standby. I'm going to configure R3 first. Okay, enable, configure terminal, interface G0/0. On R3, we are using interface G0/0 here. So the command is a standby version 2 and then standby. Okay, we should create a group first. Okay, because once we have multiple interface, so the other interface also we might want to enable the standby or HSRP. So they might be grouped to the other router. So we want to pair this is a one group. So we need to put an ID. So I put as a group 1. And then we follow by the command IP 192.168.1.254. That's it. Change state to init. And if I END, show standby. So a router is unknown because they're still waiting if there is other active router. So I'm going to fast forward it. So now change state to active. Okay, there is no standby router. So on R1 now, I'm going to add a new router. Join that group, standby. So now I'm going to create interface G0/1. Standby version 2. Standby 1 IP 192.168.1.254 and standby 1 priority 150 END. Okay, now I show standby. Okay, active router is 192.168.1.3, which is this router 3, and router 1. Okay, now change state to speak because before this is a unknown. Because there might be any other router. There's only one active and one standby, and the other is a listen. So now it become your standby. So now we can standby. Even though their priority is a 150, but router 3 their priority is 100. So they are not gonna change. How we can force router 1 to become an active? We already changed the priority to 150 other than by removing the link of R3. Of course, we remove R3, router 1 will take over as a active router. But we would like to change without touching the network. So in order to do that, we can do on the interface G0/1 with the command standby 1 preamp. Okay, show standby now. Okay, you see now, state standby change to active because we are put in the correct group 1. Before that, I do not select any group, so the preamp doesn't work. So now active router is a local and the standby router 1.1. 1.1 is a standby, same router. Let's go one more time. Okay, now, okay, This is before they change. So now they change. Expire into 297 seconds. I don't know why it became. It's supposed to be 10 seconds. So now they receive hello from R3. So R3 become a standby router. Okay, expire in 9 seconds. So 6 seconds and then up to 10 again. So that's how they change. So when we put a priority 150, we would like to force this router become active. We need to put a standby 1 preamp or whatever group. Okay, any router that been configured first will be an active, even though there is other router configured later with a higher priority. So in order to make that router as an active, we need to put the standby Y, standby, and the group number of the group number for that HSRP, and then command preamp. So that's all how you are going to configure a HSRP. Okay, that's all for configuring HSRP. Okay, thank you.